I didn't plan on writing this. In fact, I had buried the memory of that night so deep it almost felt like it belonged to someone else. But the phone call she made after I walked out, the one I wasn't supposed to hear, brought everything flooding back. So I'm here now, typing this out for anyone who's ever sat across from someone they love and wondered when exactly that love curdled into something cold and mocking. It was a Friday evening. We had been invited to what was supposed to be a casual dinner party at my best friend Nathan's place. Just a small get-together, 6 of us in total. Me, my wife Jenna, Nathan, his wife Casey, and another couple from Jenna's office, people I barely knew. Jenna looked stunning that night. She had that effortless glow she always got when she knew all eyes would be on her. I didn't think anything of it. I mean, she's always been sociable, a little flirtier than I'd like, but I trusted her. Or at least I used to. The evening started off fine. Laughter, wine, grilled steak, light music in the background. But then the conversations shifted. It turned into one of those let's roast our spouses games, playful jabs, harmless jokes. Only Jenna didn't stop at harmless. She went in hard. I mean, have you seen how he loads the dishwasher? She laughed, pointing at me like I was a toddler. It's like watching someone defuse a bomb with oven mitts on. Everyone laughed. I chuckled too. No big deal. But she didn't stop. Oh, and the way he sleeps with his mouth open. I had to start sleeping with earplugs. He sounds like a dying lawnmower. Another wave of laughter. Still, I smiled. I'm no stranger to a little teasing. Then came the final blow. You know, she said, swirling her wine like she was about to drop a punchline on a Netflix special. Sometimes I wonder if he's really a man or just a very large boy who never left his mama's basement. Dead silence. Even Nathan, who'd been laughing the loudest, froze. My ears rang. My face burned, and I laughed, the kind of weak, pitiful laugh you make when you know you've just been gutted in front of your entire social circle. I stood up slowly, pretending to stretch. Told them I needed some air. Walked out the front door and kept walking. No yelling. No fight. No grand exit. Just quiet. My heartbeat in my ears and the cool air numbing my face. I wandered down the street, past dim porch lights and barking dogs, until I ended up at a 24-hour diner. Sat in the corner booth, ordered a coffee I didn't touch, and stared into nothing. Then she called. I didn't answer. But I stayed on the line. Something told me to just listen. That's when I heard her voice, not speaking to me but to someone else in the room. He's so sensitive, she said, laughing. Like, God, it's just a joke. He'll probably go cry into his journal or something. A male voice replied. Smooth. Confident. Familiar. You're better off without that deadweight, he said. You deserve a man who doesn't shrink when the spotlight hits. She didn't argue. She didn't defend me. She just laughed. That's when I knew I hadn't just been humiliated, I had been replaced. And that was only the beginning. I sat there in that cold booth, phone still against my ear, heart doing its best to climb out of my chest. The man's voice, it hit something deep in me. Not just because it was smug and intimate. It was familiar. Not in a friend of a friend way. No, I knew that voice. I just couldn't place it right away. I ended the call, screen still glowing in my hand. 10 missed calls from Jenna followed over the next hour. A few texts, too, starting with, where are you? Then, I'm sorry, and finally, are you seriously doing this right now, as if I were the one who embarrassed her. I didn't answer. I needed to think. I needed proof. At around 2 a.m. I finally went home. The house was dark. Her car was in the driveway, but the lights were off. I didn't go to the bedroom. I slept on the couch, fully dressed, eyes open until sunrise. The next morning, Jenna acted like nothing happened. She kissed me on the cheek, poured her coffee, and asked if I wanted pancakes. Like the night before hadn't happened. Like she hadn't tried to shred my dignity in front of everyone we knew. I asked her who she'd been talking to after I left. She paused, then smiled. Just Casey, she lied. She called to check on me. I nodded, not reacting. I wasn't ready to confront her, not yet. I had questions and I wanted answers on my terms. So I did something I never thought I would. I called my cousin Liam. Now, Liam isn't a private investigator or anything, but he's damn good with tech. He once helped a coworker catch his cheating fiancée by pulling phone records and location data. I told him everything. No sugarcoating. He listened quietly, then asked for her phone number and said he'd get back to me by Monday. That weekend, Jenna kept trying to play normal. She laughed at my jokes, made dinner, cuddled up to me on the couch. But there was something off in her eyes, like she was watching me the way someone watches a pot on the verge of boiling over. And she was right to worry. Because by Monday afternoon, Liam called, and what he found wasn't just shocking. It was war. When Liam called, his voice was tense. Man, I think you already know him. He sent me the number Jenna had called that night. I didn't recognize it right away, but the contact name hit me like a freight train. Lucas Bennett. Lucas. My gym buddy. My poker night guy. The guy who stood next to me when I married Jenna. I had invited him into my life, into my home, into my trust, and that's the guy she called right after humiliating me? I didn't react the way I thought I would. No rage. No yelling. Just a hollow silence. Like my brain stepped outside and left my body to absorb the betrayal on its own. That night, I watched Jenna closely. Every word, every glance at her phone. She looked relaxed, too relaxed. Like she believed I had just swallowed it all and moved on. Like she believed I was weak. But I wasn't. I waited until she was asleep, then slipped her phone from the nightstand. Face ID unlocked it. My hands shook as I opened her messages. I expected flirty texts or hidden apps. What I found was worse. A hidden album in her photo gallery. Labeled Projects. Inside were dozens of pictures and videos of her and Lucas. In bars. In his truck. One of her kissing his neck, laughing like a teenager. And one video taken in our living room when I wasn't home. I didn't watch it. I didn't need to. I put her phone back, crawled into bed, and stared at the ceiling. In that moment, I made a decision. She wanted to act like nothing happened? Fine. I'd play along. Smile. Laugh. Pretend. But I was already gone. The next morning, Jenna acted like a perfect wife. She made scrambled eggs, offered me coffee, and even asked how work was going. Her tone was sweet, careful, too careful. I realized then she knew she'd crossed a line, but she had no idea how deep she'd gone. I kept it together. Told her I had a meeting, kissed her on the forehead, and left the house like any other day. But instead of heading to work, I drove to my old storage unit. I hadn't been there in years, but the key was still on my chain. Inside, it smelled like dust and cardboard. I cleared a space, set up a fold-out chair, and began building what would become my refuge, a quiet place where I could think, plan, and unravel everything that had been twisted behind my back. Over the next few days, I kept pretending. We went out to dinner with her friends. I smiled when she touched my hand. I even laughed at one of her jokes. And all the while, I watched her, how she glanced at her phone, how she stepped outside for calls with her sister. She didn't know I had synced her phone activity to mine. Every text to Lucas pinged my device. Every photo she sent him landed in a hidden folder only I could see. I let her keep going. Because the more she showed me who she really was, the more I stopped mourning the woman I thought I had married. And the more I prepared for what came next. 2 weeks went by. 2 long, cold, surreal weeks of pretending that everything was fine. Jenna was thriving in the lie. She started wearing more makeup, giggling at her phone more often, and going out with the girls on Thursdays. I watched it all like a man watching his own house burn down, too stunned to panic, too angry to look away. But behind the scenes, I was moving pieces. I wasn't just watching, I was building something. I started meeting with a lawyer. A quiet man named Eric who had the face of someone who'd seen 1,000 divorces and still couldn't be shocked by any of them. I showed him the messages, the photos, the phone logs. I told him I wanted to disappear from her world with surgical precision. Not revenge, I said. Just freedom. And maybe clarity. He nodded and said, then we do it right. Cold. Clean. Permanent. Meanwhile, I played the husband role with Oscar-worthy dedication. I surprised Jenna with flowers one night. She kissed me like it meant something, then excused herself to go call Casey. Minutes later, my phone pinged, a message to Lucas that read, he brought flowers. I almost laughed. I'll call you in 10. That's when something inside me broke, but not in the way she thought. I wasn't hurt. I was done. So I started collecting. Not just proof leverage. Screenshots, recordings, bank statements. She had been using our joint account to buy hotel rooms. Once, she even paid for dinner with Lucas using my card while I was home waiting for takeout. I froze the account that same night. She called me in a panic the next morning. Said her card had been declined at the gas station. I shrugged. Weird, I said. Must be a glitch. I watched her face as she processed the lie, as she tried to decide whether to push or play along. She chose the latter. And that told me something important. She wasn't in control anymore. I was. And then came the message that finally made it impossible to wait any longer. Lucas had texted her, can't wait to have you all to myself this weekend. He doesn't suspect a thing, right? She replied, he's a puppy. Completely clueless. She didn't know I was reading that from the other room. She didn't know I was already planning exactly how to prove her wrong. That Friday, Jenna told me she was heading to a wellness retreat with her coworkers. She made up some vague excuse about hot springs, yoga, and no cell service. I smiled, nodded, even helped her pack. I kissed her goodbye at the door and told her to enjoy herself. She didn't know I had already installed a tracker in her car's dash cam. She didn't know her hotel booking had come straight to my inbox. And she definitely didn't know I had booked the room right next to hers under a fake name, Mr. Ray Thomas. By the time she and Lucas checked in, I was already in the room beside them. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't need to. I heard them through the wall, laughing, drinking, watching a movie like a couple on vacation. At one point, I heard her say, "It's almost exciting doing this while he thinks I'm at some retreat." Lucas replied, "That's why it turns me on. The lie makes it better." I felt nothing. No pain. Just pure, surreal detachment. Like watching a train wreck in slow motion that I had already accepted. I recorded everything. Audio, time-stamped footage from the hallway camera, even her keycard entry log that I got access to through a hotel staff member I tipped generously. The next day, I checked out early, stopped by a print shop, and compiled a full report, images, messages, receipts, even the hotel confirmation in her name. I didn't know how I'd use it yet, but I knew I needed it. That Sunday, when she came home, Jenna looked radiant. Her hair was still damp from the hotel pool. She kissed me like nothing had happened. "Missed you," she said with that voice she used when she wanted something. I nodded. "I bet." We sat down to dinner, and I asked about the retreat. She lied flawlessly. Yoga instructors. Meditation. Cell-free zones. Girls' laughter. Every sentence smoother than the last. And all the while, I watched her mouth move, already knowing what that mouth had been doing 2 nights earlier in room 418. The next morning, she left early for work. I waited 2 hours, then packed everything. Not just my clothes, everything I wanted from that house. The rest could rot. By 2 p.m., I was gone. She didn't even notice at first. Probably thought I was running late. It wasn't until later that night that she called me. I didn't answer. She left a message. Her voice was shaking. "Where are you? What's going on? Please call me back." But she had already made the call that mattered. The one I'd overheard that night. The one that told me everything I needed to know. Now it was my turn to let the silence speak. I didn't respond to her messages that night or the ones that followed the next day. I watched them roll in one after another. "Hey, where are you? Can we talk?" Then a series of missed calls, all unanswered. By the third day, her tone shifted from worry to panic. That's when she showed up at my office. She barged into the lobby with tear-streaked mascara, loudly demanding to see me. The receptionist, unsure what to do, paged me as I watched from a meeting room down the hall. I stayed hidden, letting her stand there under the fluorescent lights, confused and exposed. She called my name again and again. I didn't come out. Later that night, she drove to my cousin Liam's house, the one I'd moved into temporarily. She pounded on the door, begging him to tell her where I was. He didn't. She shouted, cried, even threatened to call the cops. Liam just told her, "He'll talk to you when he's ready. Until then, leave." She left that night, but something told me her panic wasn't just about me being gone. And I was right. 2 days later, I received a call from my lawyer, Eric. He sounded amused. "You've got a live one," he said. "She tried to clean out your retirement account." "She what?" I asked, stunned. "Yeah. Called pretending to be you, tried to get a withdrawal transferred to a different bank. Luckily, the security questions stopped her." That's when the mask fully fell. Jenna wasn't heartbroken. She was cornered. She wasn't calling because she missed me. She was scrambling to control the fallout. So I decided it was time. I had Eric send her the papers. Divorce. Full documentation. Evidence packet attached. We served it to her at work, right in the middle of a staff meeting. I didn't see it happen, but later, someone anonymously sent me the security cam footage from the office lobby. Jenna walking in heels, flipping through the envelope with her name on it, freezing mid-step, then dropping her phone when she saw the photos inside. The same photos of her and Lucas wrapped around each other like teenagers in heat. I watched that clip on loop once, then deleted it. There was nothing left to savor. Because this wasn't revenge. This was extraction. I was pulling myself out of the wreckage she'd built. And I was almost free. The day the divorce was finalized, I didn't feel what I thought I would. No relief, no celebration, no triumph. Just stillness. Like when a hurricane finally stops and you're left in the silence, staring at what's left standing. But surprisingly, I wasn't broken. I was still standing. Jenna tried to reach out once after the documents were signed. Sent a single message that read, "I'm sorry for everything. I didn't realize what I had until it was gone." I didn't reply, not out of spite, not to hurt her, just because I had nothing left to say. She had her chance, many chances actually, and she used each one to belittle, lie, and replace me. She wanted someone stronger, someone exciting. Well, now she had silence, and I had peace. A few months went by. I started going back to the gym, got back in touch with my old hobbies, guitar, hiking, even photography. I moved into a new place, small, quiet mine. It felt strange at first, being alone, but it didn't take long to realize I wasn't lonely. I started seeing someone new, too. It happened naturally. No apps, no awkward dates. Just a conversation in a bookstore that turned into coffee, and then a walk, and then the kind of laughter I hadn't heard in years. Her name's Elise. She's kind, steady, thoughtful, and the best part? She doesn't need to tear someone down to feel tall. One night, we were sitting on my balcony. I told her the full story. Everything about Jenna, Lucas, the hotel, even the silence. I expected her to look at me with pity. But instead, she smiled and said, "That must have taken strength." And for the first time, I believed it. Not because I fought back, but because I walked away. Because I knew what I deserved. And I refused to settle for less. So, to anyone reading this, anyone sitting across from someone who smiles while they crush you, who calls you clueless while lying through their teeth, know this: you don't need to scream to be heard. Sometimes your silence is the loudest truth of all. And when you finally walk away, you don't just leave the pain behind. You make room for everything good that was waiting to begin.